Can you see my screen? Boleh nampak
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes, you can see it.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. So thank you to the organizing committee for having me to be in this sharing. So I think this is my second time having the opportunity to share with ITB. So my name Fahrurazi bin Baharom, so you just call me Razi. So basically for today, I'll share about 1 hour plus minus to share my thoughts on lean manufacturing, on Lean Six Sigma theory and practice. But before I proceed any further, just a quick introduction about myself, so that because a lot of my background actually has influence in terms of my Lean Six Sigma. So a bit about my introduction. So basically, I studied in Japan, okay, at Chiba University. So I was there for about 4 years with a degree in mechanical engineering. And then I go after that I work with Toshiba Corporation in Malaysia about 7 years. So during my working experience at Toshiba, that is where I obtained my master's at University of Malaysia. And when I was in Toshiba, actually for about 7 years, I was an assembly engineer, and it was at Toshiba that I was first exposed to Lean Six Sigma. So I started with green belt, and then around 2001, I got my black belt. And then when I joined Pertonas sometime in 2005, around 2010, that is when I obtained my Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. So in terms of my accreditation, so I am a licensed and certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. So just to let you know, there is a difference between being certified and licensed. So if you attend the training, you pass the assessment, you will get the certification for the Master Black Belt. But to get the license, this is where you need to be accredited by certain accreditation bodies. So you need to pass certain requirement, certain years of experience, certain level or numbers of project experience, and so on. Then only you get this license. And the license is a forever kind of thing. So it's for life. So it's like I can license and certify people around the globe if, let's say, they are being fulfilling the requirement for any program, be it in yellow belt, green belt, or even a black belt, or even a master black belt. Okay. In terms of my hobby, my personal hobby, I really love music and I like traveling. I like to see nature. And then during my traveling, normally this is where, when I'm already being a Lean Six Sigma practitioner, this is why I started to see a lot about. I started to like to see a lot about the practices and implementation of Lean and Six Sigma. And we look at my team, my personal team, I really adopt simplicity in life, which is actually part of the Lean concept, which promote about simplification. So I really like to see things straightforward. I don't like to complicate things or mess up things like that. I really look forward to make it easier so that people can do it faster and have a better life. Right. So basically, before I start anything about my sharing, I always like to share this screen, okay, just to give you some glimpse. So basically, this Lean concept actually started from Japan, okay. So if you Google anywhere in the internet, so many stories on how Japan developed the Lean concept, the Lean Six Sigma, and so on. But one story that I really love to share is this particular picture. For those of you who are maybe not familiar, this is actually the few remain in Hiroshima, Japan. So when Japan was bombed during the World War II, okay, they were really left with almost nothing. And when the US bombed Hiroshima, it's like it stopped the war. But what's more important is how Japan rebuilt the nation. You know, during those days, it created a lot of not just impact on the economy of Japan, but also the morale of the people. So this is just to share with you, actually, one of the secret recipe of why Japan is what they are today is through the deployment and implementation of Lean Six Sigma in action. And when I was in Japan, actually, when I was there being a student from 1992 to 1996, actually, there are so many actually Lean Six Sigma concept of experience that I was exposed and I already practice in day-to-day activity. And more importantly, I can see how the Japanese people internalize the concept in their day-to-day activities. Starting from the weather forecast, which was really accurate, For example, like weather forecast, when I was there in 1992, every day I always look forward to see in the television what will be the weather forecast for tomorrow and the week and so on, because the weather forecast is so accurate. It's like always 99% accurate. They can even predict during those days in 1992, okay, for example, if what time it will rain. If they say like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon it will rain, there will be 99% chances that it will rain at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay, and if we look at the second photo on the system, network transportation system in Japan. So in Japan, normally you don't really need a car. If you want to travel almost anywhere, you just need to just take a train. There's so many type of trains. They have bullet trains, normal trains, even like subways, monorail, and so many type of trains. So efficient that to an extent, there are so many rich people in Japan which they don't even possess a car. And if they really, even if they buy a car, they will rarely use the car to travel because it's so convenient to travel almost everywhere in Japan. And talking about the transportation in Japan, you know, the Shinkansen, this is the bullet train, is so famous, it's so reliable. And if you Google in the internet, they don't have they still maintain a zero accident policy even up to today. It's so clean, so fast. They can travel up to 350 kilometers per hour, and and personally, like my personal experience, I've traveled a lot bullet trains around the world, in Italy, in Europe, even at other countries in China and many more. I still feel that the bullet train in Japan is still the best because there's so many customer experience that really I think is fulfilling my needs and so on. Okay, if we look at the bottom picture, these are all my 90s experience. You know, the vending machine in Japan. Normally, if you go to stalls, normally you can just go to the vending machine, purchase your order, pay there, and then you bring your small chip of ordering sheet, and then put it in the counter, and then they will deliver you the food. It's so efficient. To the extent, you look at the garbage system, look at how they differentiate the type of wastages, paper, plastic, and so on. And even look at the attitude when you want to board, and this is boarding a Shinkansen or the bullet train. You see, people will queue. They don't jump queue. If you arrive late, you need to just queue up and like the rest. So it's so
Recording in
proper and
progress.
orderly. Okay, so if you look at here, the G's of this Lean Six Sigma is already being practiced in Japan, being reliable, efficient, effective, disciplined, clean. So these are actually the G's. If you want to understand further about the Lean Six Sigma, so if you have opportunity, one of the idea that I can share is you go to Japan, you can see all the Lean Six Sigma. And of course, not just my experience. So when I have this DNA, being a practitioner in Lean Six Sigma, so wherever I go, if I travel to the UK, I go anywhere, you can see in the slide now. These are normally I will really, when I see experience, okay, when I see evidences or even like examples of lean in action, so I will capture, and then I will do my sharing to my colleague, or even my students, my student in Pertonas, where normally I conduct trainings in Lean Six Sigma. So basically, I will tell them this is actually a lot of what you learn in class, the theory, but you can see a lot of experiences, or real life experience being practiced around the world. For example, the first photo there, this is one of the experience I gathered when I was in Cape Town. So I went to the supermarket. I was surprised to see that you can even open a banking account at the supermarket. Like you go to any normal grocery store, there's a kiosk where you can open the banking account, right? And then when I go to the second photo up there, the middle there, this is when I was at Southampton in United Kingdom. So you see, it's not just a little box, but you can see the message, vision management, which is one of the lean tools in order to promote lean. So when you want to throw garbage there, you can see they put a lot of information. Not just you throw your garbage, but also you can read a lot of interesting facts, not just throwing the garbage and so on. And also the rest of the photos, like on the top right there, this is where when you go to the bullet train in Japan, if you want to find your your car number and so on, so easily you can just look at the anywhere at the wall there, so they can give, there's a lot of photo telling you where you are and how to go to the car number here and there. So it's very, very useful for the customers. And then also visual management and airport arrival lobby. This is actually at London Heathrow. And then even when I watch soccer, when I went to UK recently this year, so the flooring, the seating system is on at the back of your ticket, so it's easy for you to locate where to go for you to go to the gate so that you can enter and watch the live football soccer match and so on. You see, the gist is that if you learn about Lean and Six Sigma, it's not just learning. Okay, when you go there, you travel your real life experience. It's more about thinking about what theory that you have learned and how people practice Lean in action. So when you have this kind of a mentality, this will actually accelerate your knowledge, your interest. So this is what I found that actually excite me to always share and internalize this Lean manufacturing concept. Okay, but all in all, when you talk about Lean and Six Sigma, one fundamental thing that you need to know is that the gist behind of this Lean and Six Sigma is all about understanding and respecting the customer, which is actually the DNA of the continuous improvement. So again, this is something for me, a very insight photo. If you go to Japan, typically, let's say at 9 a.m. in the morning, when before the moment when they open the department stores and so on. So in Japan, this is something a familiar sighting that you can experience. So you can see the workers, the managers, the mall, even sometimes their leaders come down and greet you as a customer. So imagine you being the customer, the early birds. You join, you enter the premise, and the cool factor or the wow factor that you will experience, because you can see how the mall, the people there, the workers there really appreciate you, and putting the inside you being the customers and so on. So this is one thing that one of the fundamental when we talk about lean manufacturing or even Lean and Six Sigma is all about understanding and respecting the customer. And something to relate with the Japanese culture. So there is what they call it a deep-rooted cultural practice. They call it in Japan an omotenashi. So it is actually a deep-rooted cultural practice focused on anticipating customer wishes or their needs. So in Lean Six Sigma or Lean, it's all about we as a service provider, whatever we do, we really need to understand what customer wants and how do we fulfill their needs and their wishes. So the moment you have this kind of mentality, if you look at my next slide, so this is actually will transform you as a better person. You can see here, this is when we adopt both Lean Six Sigma and omotenashi, okay, the Japanese cultural practices. If you look at the screen there, it's all about the mindset here. You start with the mindset, okay, which will transform into your behavior. And and from your behavior and habit, this is where you internalize the lean manufacturing or the Lean Six Sigma concept. And when you internalize this correctly, you will see, you will produce the result, which will benefit not just you, but also your organization. And what's more important is to satisfy the customer needs. So this is actually a concept, okay? How you combine both lean adaptation, lean implementation together with the omotenashi practices. Okay, so now I can move to my main slide. So yang tadi tu lebih kepada the introductory part, because that portion is important to set the tone, to give you some insight. How does from the other angle of Lean Six Sigma? Okay, so I'm going to share with you a bit introduction about Pertonas and Lean Six Sigma and how Lean Six Sigma has given benefit to the organization, and then some example of what we have applied in our day-to-day activity. Okay, firstly, this is a bit about Pertonas. So I believe all of you already know about Pertonas as a company. So actually, not many people knows that Pertonas is not just producing oil and gas, but on top of all those value chain in oil and gas, for example, like processing crude oil and also the natural gas, where we have the refining, the processing of gas, and also the liquefaction and so on. So on top of all of that, we also have other businesses, for example, like property, the shipping, and then the leadership center, education center, even the exhibition center like Petroscience, even the Dewan Philharmonic Petronas. So what I'm trying to say here is Petronas is actually already diversify its business so that we are not just only the oil and gas player, but also we are doing something else. And the recent one, we also already one of the major industry player in with reflect to new energy, for example, like solar, hydrogen, and many more. Okay, and just to relate back on the purpose and values of the organization, if you look at the slide here, the mantra is upholding our amanah and setting our course for the future. And we look at the statement of purpose. This is where the company aspire to be a progressive energy and solution partner to enrich life for a sustainable future. So how do we do that? This is through the implementation of our shared values with loyalty, integrity, and so on. But more importantly, guys, here is that if we look at the cultural belief first, in order the belief that we need to have on how we deploy this. So you can see that we have about 5 cultural beliefs like customer focus, innovate now, be enterprising, speak up, and courage to act. But focusing on the customer focus and innovate now, this is how Lean Six Sigma can support. This is where the linkage between the Lean and Six Sigma deployment through the engagement on the projects at customer focus and also innovate now that will support the organization as a whole. And of course, we're talking about the company's brand, where talking about passionate about progress. So progress is actually part of the when progress is part of the gist of doing continuous improvement, because when you improve the way you do things, definitely you will actually contribute to the progress, okay, of the organization. So that is why it is important. If you look at my sharing up to now, you can see that how the company's strategy, the company's main tactical deployment initiative in terms of the corporate branding, okay, and even the what do you call it, the statement of purpose and so on, is actually linking to the continuous improvement. So when you have this, all of this, like the business strategy to have a linkage or connection with continuous improvement, that will also drive better for the deployment on the Lean Six Sigma. So what you need to know up to now is that it's not enough just to have to know the theory on how to deploy Lean Six Sigma, just to know on all of that, but also as an organization, it is also important to have the support from the leadership, okay, the business strategy, so that everything is in place, so that when you want to deploy continuous improvement via Lean Six Sigma, it will be something aligned to the mission, to the organization mission and key business objective, right? And this is a bit about our team. So you can see for the whole Petronas, where we have about close to 50,000 employees around the world. These are the team. We are only a small team, about 6 of us. So we are the one who are actually looking into this deployment of Lean and Six Sigma. So basically within our team, we have the what do you call it, the governance team, okay, which is the governance team will actually ensure that the deployment of Lean Six Sigma will be standardized, following the guidelines and so on, doing the planning, strategy, the schedule and so on. But for the experts, so we only have 3 master black belt. We have 2 senior master black belt, me and Hisham, and we also have a Faisal. So you can see how our in terms of our the requirement that we have to commit and ensure that the deployment of Lean Six Sigma will be effective for the whole organization. And talking about Lean Six Sigma, I think if you Google into, there's so many companies already deployed. And for those of you who are new in this, you need to know that Lean Six Sigma is nothing new. It has been there for many years. Okay, and in the global deployment, you can see that a lot of companies coming from every single industry in the world: oil and gas, banking, hotel services, automobile, manufacturing, and many more. Even the aviation industry, and even the pharmaceutical industry, and many more. The IT, so they are there already. This the Lean Six Sigma deployment. But for Petronas, we already embarked actually 12 plus 6 years, about 18 years. So it has been there already in Petronas, but only that how we evolve is that we change the strategy. Previously, the deployment of Lean Six Sigma was done by pockets and pockets, like the business division are doing by their own. But since the last 5 years, it has been strategized, it has been centralized. So we are the team who are actually looking into the deployment of Lean Six Sigma within the whole organization. Okay, and talking about how we embed into our continuous improvement academy. So how we deploy this Lean Six Sigma is that we have this so-called CI Academy. So we have our own structure Lean Six Sigma deployment program. We have the yellow belt, we have the white belt, yellow belt, green, black, and master black belt. So we have our own structure, our requirements, so we can do by our own. We have our own trainers, we have our own coaching. So meaning to say that we do it all by our own. We don't even rely to any external practitioners. And to add value to this, we also have our international accreditation. So we are the only company in the world that have a double accreditation. So our program has been audited, and we have this double accreditation by IASSC and also the CASSC, or Council for Six Sigma Certification. So when we say we have this double accreditation, it means that we are saying that our program is not just 5-star, maybe even 7-star, because it's not easy to get this double accreditation. Right. In terms of our deployment, of course, we're not just deploying among our business division in our business across Malaysia, but also we already go international. So we already perform training to South Africa, to our counterpart in Myanmar, South Africa, and even in India. So we are next year onward, we are going to export. We are going to expand further. We have plans to do training at our business at Italy, Brazil, and many more. And talking about how do we do this continuous improvement through Lean. So actually, this slide is to showcase, actually, it's not that only certain people that can deploy this Lean Six Sigma or even Lean. Actually, everyone can contribute to continuous improvement or doing the so-called Kaizen implementation through the Lean manufacturing. So we're talking about continuous improvement. There are two ways of doing it. Number one, if normally for us in industry, normally everyone, those who actually join this program, they will already have the team, the project that they're going to deploy for the Lean Six Sigma. So you can do that way. But more importantly is to deploy the Lean tools, the Lean Six Sigma concept in our day-to-day activity. Because normally when you do your day-to-day activity, definitely there will be gaps, there will be problem here and there. So this is where you can learn the tools and implement and deploy the initiative so that you can improve or close those gaps or problems that you face day by day. Okay, talking about the definition. So now I'm going a bit about theory so that you can understand further what is this Lean Six Sigma, which I think maybe you already have learned during your class and so on. From the business perspective, it is a systematic approach in achieving and sustaining the business success by focusing on the customer-driven value. So as a customer, you know that we as a customer, normally we look into these three areas: cost, delivery, and quality. So as a business provider or service provider, we need to ensure that we meet all these requirements, which is normally in the class, in the theory, you will learn the analogy of critical to cost, critical to delivery, or critical to quality. So this will be the gist or the tactical aim when you want to deploy the Lean Six Sigma within the business perspective. But for the operational definition, it is a set of data-driven tools integrated in a structured problem-solving approach to improve the process performance variation. Because in the operation, there will be variation. There will be a pain points here and there. So this is where we use the Lean Six Sigma or even Lean manufacturing as a tools to address this issue so that we can meet the business and operational requirement. So in a nutshell, so the philosophy, as per what I've explained just now, it is with Lean Six Sigma is always on customer focus, which is the critical to quality, delivery, and cost. And the approach, it is a structured problem-solving approach where this is where we in Lean Six Sigma or even in Lean, we will apply the DMAIC methodology, the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So when we want to address issues or pain point, we will follow a cycle. For example, you go to the define phase, and then you go to the measure phase, analyze, improve, and control. And the tools. So this is where if you subscribe to the program, you learn regardless whether it's a Lean Six Sigma or lean manufacturing, this is where you're going to learn two things: the right tools for specific problem, either be the qualitative perspective, okay. So you will learn the qualitative tools or even the quantitative tools. So it involves two ways actually, so that when you want to address the specific problem, you will be being equipped with the right tools so that you can pick and select whichever tools that will be suitable for you to address whatever your pain points, right? So a bit more about the DMAIC catalyst. Okay, so when talk about DMAIC, or the define, measure, all the way up to control. So basically, this is the methodology to optimize or to simplify any work process, regardless whether it is a technical and transactional. So I need to inform here also, guys, is that when we talk about using Lean Six Sigma, it is not necessarily that you need to be like a technical background. You need to be working in the technical environment so that you can deploy and apply this Lean Six Sigma. Actually, even you are working at a corporate level, at any particular, even HR, HSE, or safety and environment, even like services, you can apply this DMAIC methodology or Lean Six Sigma methodology so that it will be benefit for you to address those tools and so on. So in define, basically, it's all about understanding why at the first place you want to do the project, or you want to do things to your whatever to your pain point. This is where you identify your initiative or project opportunities from the customer's requirement, and then measure is all about you understand your current as it is. How are we doing things? Okay, because it is very important before we take action to improve. We understand our current situation so that when we know our true gaps, our true pain points, so you can address the right areas. Okay, and then we go to analyze. So this is where you go into what is going wrong. What are the critical variables? What are the latent root causes? What are the few critical factors that give the biggest impact to whatever your pain points and so on? And more importantly is in the analyze phase, you will take step to address, to identify and to justify the latent root causes of your problems or your pain points. And in improve, this is where you develop what needs to be done, your intervention plan. Okay, you already understand the problems, the pain points. So what's next? How do you going to address the pain points and the key variables so that you can sustain the improvement? And then the last part of the DMAIC is the control phase. So how do we guarantee the performance? So you see a lot of people can declare that they improve here and there, but a lot of people also sometimes they neglect the efforts on how to sustain the improvement. So one of the secret recipe or the reason behind why this Lean Six Sigma practices or even Lean is still relevant, even it was there in 1990s. Why even now in 2019, year the 2022, people are still delivering, and Lean Six Sigma is one of the top 3 tools, continuous improvement tool, being practiced in industry. So one of the secret recipe is, so ladies and gentlemen, is due to this control phase where when you do projects, when you do improvement tools, you also need to think about how can you guarantee the performance and also sustain the improvement in the long run, so that when you complete your project, you complete initiative, the gain can be sustained and can give benefit to the organization in the long run, right? So talking about Six Sigma, now I go a bit deep on Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is all about you address the sources of variation. So the basic premise of Six Sigma is that sources of variation can be identified, quantified, or even eliminated or controlled. So this is where we talking about Six Sigma. I'm going to explain what is Six Sigma, what is Lean for now. But for Six Sigma, it's all about when you do things, when you do anything in your day-to-day activity, there will be variation. And we talk about variation, there will be data behind. So this is where you apply the data-driven concept. You measure the problems and then you optimize so that you can reduce or can improve your improvement. And this is where you apply the DMAIC as per what I've explained just now. And talking about Lean, okay, Lean, which is actually most of you now knows the concept of Lean manufacturing. It is the elimination of anything not absolutely required to deliver a quality product or service on time to our customers. So what do we do with Lean actually? So we increase the productivity, we improve the on-time delivery. So we ensure that when you want to deliver our services, it is as per on time, as per the agreed timeline, and we really want to avoid being delayed in providing whatever we do, which goes to the third point of reducing the lead time, reducing the inventory, and then the next consequences, the impact will be to increase the sales, where you can free up resources and capacities to increase production, or even to invest in other new product or services. And more importantly, guys, is that when all of these are being fulfilled, at the end, it's all about improving the quality. So when we talk about lean, it's all about doing right at whatever you do. For example, like doing at the right part, at the right time, at the right size, at the right quality, whatever right that you can think of. It's all about doing things right. Okay, and talking about the lean goals and tactics. So basically for us in industry, there are two things. Number one is actually to eliminate the wastages, where we look into areas where we can improve or reduce the wastages through the concept of the analogy of downtime. Okay, so these stand for eliminating defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. So what we do is that when we look into our current process, if we have anything related all to these wastages, so we will take action and try to eliminate, or if we cannot eliminate totally, we try to reduce as much as possible. So for us industry, normally we really promote the acronym reduce downtime, reduce downtime. So the downtime actually stands for the wastages behind. And also the second tactic is to improve the flow. So when we reduce the wastages, we try to simplify the process, try to reduce all the downtime and so on, so to ensure that we can do things faster and deliver as per the required time agreed by our customers. Okay, at the end, talking about lean, it focuses on speed. So when we do lean, normally we talk about speed. How can we do things faster, more efficient through eliminating of waste? And then in there, and at the end, we improve the process flow. So lately, our leaders are always talk about there are so many complicated processes in the industry. In our organization, typically, we have a lot of processes that is too complicated, and the impact to organization is sometimes is quite significant. Sometimes it end up to a lot of things being delayed, projects being delayed. But what we also want to like to avoid is to avoid the loss of opportunity. Sometimes doing things late, where so many complicated process, it has impacted us in many ways. For example, like loss of opportunity, and sometimes a lot of value leakages. So when we talk about the lean tactic, so the first thing is always we internalize this. We call it the war on waste. So we promote among our team and also to the organization, how can we reduce waste? So we call it war on waste. So we have a lot of engagement with our employees, okay, with our people within the industry, like telling them try to locate waste, and if we find waste, eliminate or remove as much as possible. So this is where we promote the so-called war on waste. And so the idea is that when we have a lot of wastages and when we remove that, it will actually the impact is there are many things that can be done faster and to reduce the wastages, so that we can do things faster and more efficient. So what we promoted was to do more with less, or doing things fast by shorten the time between the customer order and the product services delivered, by eliminating not just the waste but also the sources of wastages. And I don't want to elaborate too much on this, but what you need to know is that when we internalize the wastages, the downtime, as per what I explained just now, so we of course, when we did the engagement, we don't just promote the wastages, but also the example of wastages that you probably can find in your day-to-day activity. And what do you do if you find those wastages, and then what would be the actions that they can do? And also we did also promote the benefit of having or eliminating all of these 8 type of wastages, right? And the second tactic, as per what I mentioned, the first one was to eliminate the waste. Then we streamline the process flow. So because when everything is sometimes in our many in our processes are so many complicated, sometimes the process is just too long. Okay, so what we want to have is a smooth single process steps so that we don't need to complicate things, and when we try to make things faster and simplified, so the benefits in, for example, in reducing the lead time and also to avoid loss of opportunity. Okay, so basically, if you subscribe into the when we do the training in Lean Six Sigma, so basically the students or even the practitioners will learn a lot of tools. Okay, the Lean tools, they will learn actually both the Lean and Six Sigma tool, but particularly on the Lean manufacturing tools in our program. So these are the tools that normally we will share with the practitioners, and not just they're going to learn the theory, but also the concept, the practices, the do and don'ts, and also the lesson learned through the deployment of these Lean tools in the mic. Okay, and one of the popular tools that we always promote and encourage our people is that on the Gemba walk. So if you learn Lean manufacturing, you might have already learned or heard about the Gemba walk. So this is where that refers to the place where the value is being created, where you need to go see at the real place, look at for wastages or any pain points or any issues that you can uncover through your Gemba walk, and then from there you take action and try to address the wastages and to simplify things as you improve and so on. Okay, so of course the next few slides is just some showing you with all of you some of the things that we do. So when we do a Gemba walk, for example, you can see that we will actually map the process with the team members, and we will actually identify the waste, and then we use the value stream mapping, the VSM, to also map the current as it is processed. And then from there, we do a gap analysis to find what are the wastages, what else can we do better, and then we develop the future state process where we visualize how can we simplify things, and then from there we measure the process cycle efficiency before and after, and this is where we will ensure that the PCE or the process cycle efficiency will be improved as we apply the Lean tools. But in Pertonas particularly, what also you need to know is that for us in Pertonas, we deploy both the Lean and Six Sigma. So if you see around the world there are companies that deploy only Six Sigma and only Lean. But for Pertonas, the leadership has given the approval for us to deploy both Lean and Six Sigma particularly because our organization are very global, very robust. So there's so many gaps here and there. So by deploying both Lean and Six Sigma, where Lean focus on speed and flexibility, and Six Sigma focusing on stability and accuracy, when we do things here, it will be a powerful union and the impact will be huge. I will share with you in my latest slide what have we achieved so far through this deployment. And so my second point now is how does this Lean Six Sigma give benefit us to the organization? So you see, deploying Lean Six Sigma is not just for the organization, but also benefit us as an employee. Okay, so the first one is those subscribing or learning Lean Six Sigma will learn to be a structured problem solver, because when they go to when they learn the Lean Six Sigma, there are so many tools, and the approach they will use, the DMIC approach, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, is so structured. So when you do things, when you learn these tools, it will also transform you as a structured problem solver. So when you have to address pain point, address issue, you don't just study and then improve. So you need to follow certain steps. Okay. So the second one is actually for us in Lean Pertonas, where we have Lean and Six Sigma, typically on the Six Sigma. So we will apply some simple statistics. Okay. So we will use in Pertonas, we have this Minitech statistical software. So if you go to the green belt level and upward, or even the black belt, so you will learn some simple statistics, but more importantly is how to use statistics or data-driven to make a better decision-making. So this is a lot of insight. Okay, this is something that has really benefit a lot of our practitioners, because now they know that to make things decision using a data-driven will be more is really crucial, because there are so many instances through our experience where we don't have data-driven. Sometimes our decision was not that accurate, and we could have produced better result if we inject a bit more on our data analytic when we want to make a crucial or critical decision making. Of course, when the practitioners learn, if you learn Lean Six Sigma or Lean, you will be more efficient, because you are going to address the wastages as per what you have learned just now, or I've shared the concept of downtime. And of course, when normally when there is a lot of studies there, when the workers engage into Lean Six Sigma, it will also increase the engagement and maximize the employee experience. Okay, so basically there are so many studies being published in journals where in Lean Six Sigma, employee participation is a precondition for increased employee satisfaction, high-level motivation, improved organizational performance and effectiveness, and better implementation of organizational change. So what's more important, the summary of here is that when the company deploy Lean Six Sigma, it will increase, okay, the customer's experience and the morale and the feel good factor to stay loyal and work maintain within the organization. Then of course, when you learn the structured approach of Lean Six Sigma, it will also transform you to be a versatile project leader, because you will learn a lot of tools. It's like you are being trained to become a process doctor. But of course, you will learn many tools, and then when you go there, you go to the real life, you to address different pain points. So you will be equipped a lot of tools. Okay, you know, for example, if you address certain pain point, what tools to be used. So it will transform you to be a versatile project leader. And normally those trained Lean Six Sigma, certified Lean Six Sigma, be it green or black belt, normally within Petronas, their career progression will be much faster. And normally people will recognize them through their knowledge and their efforts. Okay? And within Petronas, we have something, we develop a framework when we want to start, when we deploy Lean Six Sigma, this will be the benefits that we will gain from the deployment. Okay, so for example, like in any organization, okay, the revenue will be under cost and profit margin. So for the cost, basically these are all the business resources activities like manpower, materials, and so on. So within this, between the resources activity, there will be a lot of non-value added and the value added, business value added. So for the Lean Six Sigma practices, so this is where we will apply the tools to improve the efficiency and effectiveness through the removal of wastages, where we optimize the resources, we improve the quality, and also improve the safety environment, and so on. So through this effort, so we will try the Lean Six Sigma will give benefits to improve efficiency and effectiveness. And of course, when the output of that is that when we improve this, we will also improve the productivity and also optimizing the output and increase sales. So through the measurement within lean manufacturing, the PCE, okay, this is, and also the Sigma level from the Six Sigma. So these are the indicators. So this is to measure the before and after, also to tackle question if we say how productive are you. So the PCE or the process cycle efficiency will enable you to provide those data to gauge where we are and how far have we improved. And the impact through those implementation is through the cash generation, cost reduction, cost avoided, and also man-hour saving. But the intangible effect is, as per what I explained just now, so many essence like increasing customer satisfaction, loyalty, of course, improving the brand reputation, the market share, of course, working in a better environment, workspace that provide a better working culture, and at the end, as per what I've mentioned, as proven through a lot of studies where it improved a lot into the job satisfaction level. And this is the result I'm proud to share. So far after the deployment, actually this data is after we started the centralized effort of Lean Six Sigma deployment since 2017. So after 5 years of deployment, okay, this is the result, okay. The reach out where we have a lot of OPUs, the competency where we have trained more than 2,500 practitioners. We developed more than 1,100 projects, but look at the value creation. This value has been audited by our auditing division. We have realized more than USD $11 billion, okay, $11 billion of real value creation saving and produce more than 1 million man-hour saving. So this is a huge benefit to the organization, okay. So this is a really great success for Petronas as a company, and also to chart our journey moving forward. And my next few slides is a bit on how we apply this Lean Six Sigma. During the COVID-19, the Lean practice and the Lean tools has been used very extensive. If you learn Lean, the concept of Pokayoke, like a mistake proofing, to avoid mistakes. So, during the COVID-19, we have so many constrained movement here and there, and to ensure that we comply to the guidelines, the governance, the usage of Pokayoke, one of the lean tool, has been applied, okay, to ensure proper social distancing, the usage, the compliance of using face masks, and also to ensure effective sanitizing activity in our business, in our service station, and also in our business premises. Okay, and also how do we ensure the what do you call it, the safe distancing during the COVID-19 era is the usage, like for example the spaghetti diagram, where we anticipate the people movement. How do we ensure, for example, to minimize the to maximize the social distancing? So this spaghetti diagram was used in our business premises, in our operation unit, to ensure that we can control and comply to the COVID-19 protocols. Also activities at our cafe, our office pantry, even at surau, praying rooms, and so on. There's so many visual control tools that we deploy, we put in place to ensure that so that the employees can comply and follow all these requirements. And this is what this is my one of my role, where I use this analytic. This is on the Six Sigma tools. Okay, so I was tasked by our management to predict when the number of COVID-19 will reach or reduce to a certain level, because this information is crucial for the business to anticipate the way forward of business activities and so on. So I apply the Six Sigma tools. I predict when the COVID-19 will reduce to a certainty through the data analytic and the forecasting, and I presented to the pandemic response team leadership team, and my prediction was actually 95% accurate. So I predict the number of cases will reduce to one number, and the actual result was accurate at 95% confidence level. So that's how the role of Lean Six Sigma has assisted the organization to make a better decision making. But in terms of the lean tools application, there are so many experiences actually. If I were to share one by one, I could take hours, but I just show some glimpse of our deployment in our manufacturing activities. So you can see this is some of the example where we apply a lot of the 5S tools, the lean tools, okay, to make the working area a better workplace, increase the safety level. Okay, so many example. This is actually at one of the sites at Spain actually. Okay, Spain, how we apply the lean tools. Okay, this is through the Kaizen practices, okay, to improve the safety, the morale of the employees, and so on. And then also using the Kaizen approach for our greenhouse project execution. This is at China, our factory in China. So you can see how the people, they learn about the lean manufacturing tools, and they deploy you apply Kaizen practices to ensure that the greenhouse project, will be implemented effectively and completed on time. Also on the procurement, this is where, at our warehouse, so many movement. So we need to ensure that our movement will be simplified. There's no jams here and there. Also, the inventory level must be adequate and also sufficient and effective. So the procurement team use a lot of Kaizen practices to ensure just-in-time delivery with regards to our procurement activities. Okay, so this is also another where they apply simple SPC or statistical process control. This is at one of the manufacturing. I think this is in somewhere in Asia. Okay, so this is where even the frontliners, the operators, the technician, they apply simple SPC or data analytic to monitor, and also deploying Kaizen to monitor their improvement. All right. Guys, so basically this is my last slide. So whatever I've shared about Lean Six Sigma, blah, 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 all those theory, actually, those are actually the easy part. The most difficult part, guys, through our experience, is the changing the organizational culture. This will be the hardest part. So for us, particularly, what we experience is that the theory is one thing, the teaching is one thing, but also the mindset, the application, the engagement. So this is where we are lucky, because in Pertonas we have the so-called the cultural belief, where we internalize the DNA of the cultural belief, like customer focus, innovate now, be enterprising, speak up, encourage to act. So this cultural belief actually became the catalyst for us to deploy the Lean Six Sigma and also the continuous improvement effort for the betterment of our organization. All right, guys. With that, I end my sharing. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I think I finished within 50 minutes plus. So I think I have some time for Q&A. All right. So now I'll open for any Q&A. If anyone would like to give comment, any question and so on. All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fahrurazi. So I hope you all can use this chance to ask Mr. Fahrurazi the question about the Lean Six Sigma. It's good presentation. So he share his knowledge in Pertonas, start with his experience from his study in Japan, and then relate to his work in Pertonas, and then the example for the case study in Pertonas as well. So please ask the question. You can use the chat board. You can use the chat board and you type the question you have, and then I will go through, or Mr. Fahrurazi will go through to the question and then answer your question.
Yeah, feel free to ask anything. Use this opportunity. I think if you want to know anything about Lean Six Sigma, just ask. I'll try my best to answer.
Okay, before waiting the student question, is it the Petronas? They implement the what we call it, the waste management system. So from the total for the presented just now, the from the amount the saving, that is started overall from the when and to when you can get that amount.
Okay. Okay, the amount that I've shared just now about 11 US dollar billion, actually, like I mentioned previously, Petronas, when Petronas previously Petronas is very big. Okay, there's so many business unit, operational unit, and so on. Previously, from actually Lean Six Sigma started in 2005. Okay, yeah, refinery plant, they do it by own. So, but in terms of doing centralized, so we only started the centralization of Lean Six Sigma started with 2017. So the value that you see just now, that 11 billion US dollar, the saving is actually accumulate from 2017 as per year to date today lah. So meaning to say that if we want to accumulate from 2004, 2005, I think it's much more. But in terms of the value that we capture, we validate, we audited. So that 11 US dollar is after US dollar 11 billion is actually after close to 5 years deployment.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we have now one question in the chat box.
Okay. How can changing organization culture be made easier? Okay. Thank you. I think this is one of the popular question about, the changing the culture to be made easier. Okay. So actually, one of the things, there are two things for me. There are two things here. When we're talking about organizing culture, in it two ways. One is from the top. Okay, there must be a push from the top to say that the organization culture must be changed according to certain cultural principle. Because different organization may want to internalize the different cultural principles. So that is why normally a good company will have actually a structure, a team to look into this cultural, how to do change management and so on. So that is where the driving from the top must start first. And the second one is actually, if let's say you want people to change, or you want to instill the organizational culture, the team or the management also need to think about what will be the benefit to the organization or to the people. Normally for me, I really like the term of WIIFM. What's in it for me? If you want people to follow you, you need to tell them on the first place, why will they need to change? So that is why the management and the team will need to, you need to tell a storyline, or to tell if they want people to change, or maybe you want to instill the organizational culture, what will be the benefit to them? And if it is being communicated effectively, I can tell you through my experience, people will be easier to adopt and adapt and can follow whatever direction given to them, typically on the change management through the organization culture. That will be my response to Ify I hope my answer to that will be enough. So if you want to know more, you can just chat more. Okay, there's a second question from Adli. Okay, welcome salam. From Mechatronics, we have learned about lean and ways to implement. What advice would you give to someone entering the field? Okay, what difficulty might they need to overcome through the experience? Okay, this is something that I've talked to Dr. Zunaidi just now about for the newbies like you know, you learn about lean manufacturing, you learn the theories, kan? So basically, when you want to enter the field, I think, of course, for example, if let's say you are coming from being a student, maybe if let's say you're a student and so on, of course, you may not have experience, exposure in there, but actually, like I mentioned tadi, there's so many lean practices in action. So if you can somehow get that extra DNA, for example, you experience the lean and you start to change by you. So if, for example, if you know the theory of lean and so on, but you internalize in your day-to-day activity, you can start, for example, for example, like 5S tools, right? You know that 5S tools, you can do it at your home, okay, within you. So what's more important is to have to instill that DNA, that DNA, so that you begin with you. So when you practice those tools, people can actually see you. For example, you don't like wastages, you are always on time, so people can see the values on you. So if you go out there, if you can demonstrate, maybe through your personal activity, or even you can have maybe exposure through your, if you're doing part-time tasks, or even doing your NGO activities, so you can showcase all of these practitioners or practices, okay? So that when you go there, you go outside, even you don't have the experience, I mean, working experience, but your DNA, your lean DNA will actually support you when you want to go to seek for a job. Because I've seen this actually, for example, like I also interview new staff, so I can see people when they have all of these values. And normally, if I were to recruit people, I will actually find these people will be a better person to recruit rather than those who does not have any theory or does not anything about lean and so on. So that will be my question to you on what can you do when you want to enter the field. So you must start with you first. Without those values in you, even you enter the field, even people ask you to do lean and so on, normally you will have that kind of, you cannot excel much without that inner DNA on you. And what difficulties might they need to overcome through the experience? I think it's all about the belief. Okay, all of this lean manufacturing, all of this, it will be useless if without your own belief. Okay, for me, you start to embrace this belief, can understand and accept that this will make you a better person. You get so many lean tools now. You don't actually need to just go to university or to college to learn. If you Google in the internet, in the YouTube, there's so many practices, free learning. I think you guys are very lucky. During my days, I don't have this. So I think you should leverage on these chances, this availability to increase your knowledge. Okay, there's another question by Sonia. Okay, Lean Six Sigma benefit mostly to the company. What would be the benefit to the individual? So I've shared in my previous slide just now. Okay, it will train. If I were to share, let me just open. Okay, quick one, a very fast one. I've shared just now. It was actually as the individual, what would be the benefit? Okay, so this is the organization, but as a you can become a more structured problem solver. Okay, through the learning of these lean tools and so on, and to be more confident decision making. You see, it will increase your confidence level. For me myself, I've actually really experienced this. The moment I go to Lean Six Sigma, I've really improved my data-driven decision making, and it actually improved my personal as a whole. Okay, and also you'll be more efficient because you'll be a person that you will really hate to see wastages here and there. And of course, it will improve your personal experience. You will become more happier to stay in within an organization, and of course to be a versatile project leader. If you have this knowledge, if you go to interviews, if you go to anywhere, people will see you as a versatile people. You can lead projects, you can lead initiatives, because you have all these tools that you can bring and carry forward to help you becoming a better project leader. So basically, that will be my answer to you on that. Another question, banyak soalan di people. What are the major challenges? Okay, major challenges in Lean Six Sigma application. From my experience, the challenges is all about, number one is sometimes is on the leadership, because sometimes like Petronas, we do have change of leadership team. When new leaders come in, they bring in their new ideas. So one of the challenge is how to ensure that even the new leaders come in and go, we can still sustain the what do you call it, the significant the importance of Lean Six Sigma, because sometimes when new leaders come in, they may have a different school of thought. So we as a team, we need to actually we need to tell them, the new management, why this Lean Six Sigma is important, what we have been doing, and what will be the way forward. So we need to have a better engagement with all of these leaders. Okay, the number two challenges is all about the how do we internalize efficiently the practices, because being Petronas, we are so robust. Our challenges sometimes is different according to location. If let's say we can solve these tools at Malaysia, but if we go to South Africa, maybe we need to actually fine tune here and there. Maybe this tool will be not that suitable. So maybe the deployment strategy we need to actually customize here and there. So that's the kind of experience that when we go to different countries, different culture, different requirement. For example, we go to South Africa, we go to Myanmar. Okay, Myanmar, so many constraints there. We go to India, we go to Brazil. So basically, there are different culture or requirement that we need to adapt and adopt. So that will be one of the requirement. Okay, that's a very interesting question. Is it applicable to apply Malay culture in lean manufacturing? Oh ya, ini macam mana? Malay culture in lean manufacturing. Can you elaborate what you mean by Malay culture? Maksudnya macam mana? Nak dimelayukan ke lean ni?
Maybe they talk the Malay is very difficult to follow to make the culturize the. So I think that is the meaning. So Azad you can elaborate, or I think that you can answer that one first, Mr. Fahrurazi.
Okay, tak apalah while he maybe typing the answer. But for me, if you ask me, macam mana nak bring or adapt to Malay, okay, Malay culture in lean. Okay, actually for me, lean manufacturing should not be like, for example, you need to segmentize into culture, Malay culture, Chinese culture, because it can be applied to all. But I do understand, because sometimes Malay culture, we have our belief, but I can say, if I were to talk about Islamic principle, okay, Islamic principle, there are so many alignment that we can we can see the similarities. For example, like Islamic practices, we always say that Islam is easy, so it's straightforward. So basically, that could be one of it. Also, Islamic promote cleanliness, that is, excuse me, is part of 5S and so on. And actually, it's all about, you see, like Malay, for example, like Malay, we always say that we want to bagi perkhidmatan yang terbaik kepada kita punya whoever that will get our services, our tetamu and so on. So for me, if I talk about lean is all about satisfying and maximizing the customer wishes and needs. That could be one of the linkage whereby we can coexist together, the Malay principles, which I think is the similar thing compared to the lean principles lah. That's my immediate answer to that lah.
Okay. I hope that's all answer your question. Because we have so many questions today, Mr. Fahrurazi.
Tak apa. Boleh. Bila soalan tu maksudnya, there's one more. Okay.
Oh, one more.
Aminin Azlan.
Okay.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay. How can one develop their mindset towards lean and Kaizen method? Say they are not an individual that can adapt to changes. Okay, maksudnya this is whereby they are not adapt to changes. Okay, meaning to say that sometimes people, they have that that wall. Okay, meaning to say that they want to change because they're so familiar. It's something like for example, through this is something. If I were to use this experience, this is through my experience when I went to South Africa. Okay, when I was assigned in 2018. Okay, I was assigned to do a Lean Six Sigma training, green belt, black belt, at our counterpart in Cape Town, in Johannesburg. And the Africans, they are really those kind of people yang memang tak nak berubah. They really macam, they think whatever they do is already enough. Okay, Their culture is really like they want to preserve the way they do things. Okay, so when I go there, actually I never attack their culture. I say that yeah, your culture is that's what your culture. But I always when I teach them or I expose them to Lean and Six Sigma or Kaizen method, normally I will say that what if you learn this? Okay, if you imagine by doing like this, and what will be the benefits? Okay, it's all about when how do I play with them? Is that I tell them, okay, if you use this way, I give them an example. For example, you go from point A to point B. Currently, you're driving a brand model A car, but now you're learning a better. You are now being equipped with a model B, which can travel faster, and even the route for you to reach the destination will be much faster. And also, when you reach faster, you will what will be the benefits and so on. So how do I penetrate those wall? Was I tell them that I told them all the benefits. Okay, you know that people normally will change when they see the benefit to them. This is something related to the WIIFM. What's in it for me? The moment you can attract them, you can tell them what will be the benefit of doing that. Slowly, apa ni dia punya the opening the mindset opening will slowly happen, and from there they will start to open and open and open. Then they will fully agree that yes, I agree that there could be a better way of doing things, and then slowly they will change the mindset and behavior. So that is what my experience. I can tell you when I trained those African, it was not that easy, because they're so apa namanya protective to the activity. Contohnya macam talking about wastages, contohnya macam coming late, and certain their cultural belief is that it's okay to be late because of something, because there could be some priority. But I told them that if let's say you come earlier, and if let's say blah blah blah, what will be the benefit? So that actually started to change their mentality, their belief, and from there they slowly and agreed to embrace the lean principle and change the way they do things.
Okay. I think that's all the question today. So we have covered almost the time today. So very good sharing and a very good Q&A as well. So I hope this is second time. So hopefully for the third time, we hope Mr. Fahrurazi can be in Brunei UTB next time, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah,
inshallah.
look forward to that.
So we can have more good sharing session hopefully in the future. So for today, thank you very much for sharing with us everything. So I hope with all that you all can apply what you learned today, and then you can get all those benefits into your daily life, in your future works, and so on. So thank you very much, Mr. Fahrurazi, for your sharing, and thank you for all. Okay, with that, we will finish our FLS talk today, and thank you very much. See you soon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, later on, Mr.